championships. So all that's still to come, but first the United States, as the second in command of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, has been killed in an airstrike. Fadhil Ahmad al-Hayali was apparently killed as he traveled in a car in the Iraqi city of Mosul on Tuesday. Zaina Khodr has more.
He was ISIL's man in Iraq, in charge of overseeing the group's military operations from logistics to finance. His position in ISIL's chain of command was confirmed by the White House, which released this statement. Fadhil Ahmad al-Hayali, also known as Haji Mutazz, was an ISIL Shura Council member and, as the senior deputy to ISIL leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, was a primary coordinator for moving large amounts of weapons, explosives, vehicles and people between Iraq and Syria. Al-Hayali's death will adversely impact ISIL's operations, given that his influence spanned ISIL's finance, media operations and logistics. Hayali was reportedly killed near Mosul in northern Iraq on August the 18th as he traveled in a vehicle with another ISIL operative named Abu Abdullah, who also died. This isn't the first time the U.S. has claimed to have killed Hayali. He was reported dead in an attack in late 2014 as well. A former officer under Saddam Hussein who served in a U.S.-run prison, Hayali played an instrumental role in ISIL's capture of Mosul, Iraq's second biggest city. While his death is undoubtedly a blow to ISIL, the group seems to be prepared for such eventualities. ISIL is a secretive organization, but intelligence gathered over the years indicate that the group's power is not centralized. Many of its leaders were members of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which had a formal command structure. It proved to be a weakness, and ISIL's leaders seem to have learned from that experience. They are believed to have created a system that gives leaders flexibility so that overall operations are not affected if a top official is killed. On the ground, the coalition and its local partners have few successes to claim. It has been over a year, and ISIL remains deeply entrenched in Mosul, where it controls all aspects of life. There are those who believe, despite al-Hayali's death, the U.S. has no long-term strategy to defeat ISIL.
I think the challenge has been, who are we backing on the ground? There's a larger issue here in terms of having a regional solution and being able to have all the players on the same page.
In Iraq, Iranian-backed Shia militias are leading the fight in mainly Sunni Arab areas. And opposition from some politicians in Baghdad to the arming of Sunnis has increased sectarian tensions. The lack of reconciliation allowed ISIL to capture another provincial capital in May. A counter-offensive to retake Ramadi and much of the Anbar province has made little progress. Hayali's death may be a short-term setback for the group, given his influence and military background, but defeating ISIL will require a political solution to conflicts in both Iraq and Syria, where ISIL controls significant territory. Zaina Khodr, Al Jazeera, Baghdad.
Well, joining us now to talk more about the significance of this strike is Montieth Stewart, a military analyst and former U.S. colonel. Thank you for being with us. Now, based on what's been reported about this appears to have been a target attack, so it would have been based on the intelligence that they had. How certain can they be, though, that they have the right guy?
Right, certainty. If you go back to 17 May, we went in with Delta Force on the ground, attacked a target.
This is one of the special forces.
Special forces went on the ground and confirmed death. Osama, we confirmed death. We went in and confirmed death. This guy, we're getting intelligence reports from the ground that he is dead. Now, we got reports back in November that he was dead, but he has moved up the chain of command and become more important. I'm not signing up for the number 2 guy in the organization. Everybody's saying he's number 2. I mean, we didn't know who he was yesterday. Were you reporting that he's the number 2 guy behind al-Baghdadi? No, he's a new guy. He's been around, but number 2, I'm not signing up for. So.
Is there a way, though, to kind of get an idea of how many of these senior ISIL leaders there are? Because we are just talking about one person here. I mean, and he could easily be replaced by the next person in line, couldn't he?
It's one step up, Hazim, exactly. What's getting better for the U.S. is now they're being able to make an organizational structure. Al-Qaeda was shadowy and moving around. These guys want to go to ground, run cities. They have to develop an organizational structure to run these cities and do their dastardly deeds. And so they have to have an organization, and the U.S. can chart and make 1 through 100 of these targets, 1 through 100. We did it with the deck of cards. If you remember during the war, every soldier got a deck of cards, so he knew who was 1 through 52.
Of the Iraqi leadership.
Of the Iraqi leadership, yeah. Right. So every soldier knew who was 1 through 52. Right now, we're trying to figure out, the U.S. and coalition is trying to figure out the 1 through 200 in this time around. So
it's been reported as well that the leadership structure of ISIL is very decentralized, and there's questions about how much control this particular person would have had across the whole operation, and coordinating supplies and all the rest of it.
A control in Mosul. He probably had. I'd call him number 2 in Mosul. Who is this guy? You saw the lead-in report. He's former Iraqi military. That's critical. These guys were the guys, when we went in, we said, you're in the Ba'athist Party, you can't be part of the new government. And we pushed him aside. What has he done in 10 years? In the last 10 years, he's had to feed his family, and it's a very masculine world where he is, and he goes to, and he's a valuable military leader. ISIL picks him up. The Iraqis don't pick him. The Iraqi government don't pick him up and bring him into the new government because he was Ba'athist. The rule was no Ba'athists in the new government. And this is one of those guys who bleeds out of that policy we had and now becomes a strong leader. Seems he was a strong leader in Mosul in the logistics from Mosul to Syria. He was in there. I mean, he's a big guy. The battle goes on. We won a battle. It's not something to be celebrated. If I was a colonel, I'd go back right now. I'd go back to my troops and say, we got a good guy. We got a lot more to go. Don't celebrate we got number 2. The worst thing I could do was go back and say, we got the number 2 guy, and our guys would let down. So.
Well, just picking up on that then, and just finally, I mean, you talk about this battle going on, and it's one thing to go after this group with force, but it's something else to go after the root causes of this, because much of the analysis for how a group like ISIL was formed was because they felt shut out of the political process by the Iraqi leadership in Baghdad. Is enough being done to address that side of it?
Yes, you are right. That's what's happening. They're pushed out, and they've got to live and feed their family. It's a very masculine world out there. They've got to become part of the new government. That's what wins this. Not picking off high-value targets and celebrating every 3 months or so. We've got to get Baghdad involved. That's a political matter. I'm looking at it from a soldier's point of view. Yeah.
Good to get your thoughts on this, Colonel Stewart. Thanks very much for being with us.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, in Iraq, staying in Iraq, thousands of protesters have